Hello, I'd like to welcome everyone to Two Brown Girls Conversate and Listen to Books. And I am so delighted that we're here tonight and we're reading Mad Honey. And Mad Honey is written by Jodi Picoult. And Jodi Picoult is lucky enough to have her books banned. And thank you, Donald, for sharing this information. And how does the author feel about having her books banned? And Donald has this great clip that we're going to start off with. If you all haven't seen it, if you haven't heard about what's happened to this author, whether or not you've had a chance to listen to her book, we hope that you have it, and we hope that you enjoy buying banned books. That we'll get a chance to do it today. So I'm going to welcome everybody. Thank you for being here, and I'm going to share my screen. And if you all will let me know that you can see it.
Yeah.
Yay. Oh, this was on Good Morning America. This is your favorite show.
That's my show.
It's your show. Awesome. Thank you for sharing this.
Waging over banned books.
Yeah, last year, Florida passed a new law to review reading materials made available in classrooms. And this month, Martin County, Florida announced the removal of 92 books from its schools. 20 of those books.
Now, for about a second, but then it just stopped. We can hear it.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so listen, you say that you've had your books banned before, but never 20 all at once.
Nope.
Why do you think your books are getting banned, especially there in Florida?
That is an excellent question. But unfortunately, in Martin County, Florida, and in many places in Florida, one parent can decide to pull a book from a shelf without even giving a reason for that. And the one parent who wanted to ban all 20 of my books said on her form that she had not read the book. She admitted to that. And she said that some of them were adult romance, which is really interesting because I don't write adult romance. And in fact, half of the books she pulled do not even have a single kiss in them. But they do have topics like gun rights and women's reproductive health rights and gay rights and things that make...
Right, because all of your books are very topical. It's like what's happening in the moment.
So they're books that are to encourage kids to think for themselves.
We can see it now.
Library. It's worth saying that. This is not an elementary school library.
Oh.
And the modus operandi is to get the books pulled off the shelves because the process for review is very muddy. And so the books stay off the shelves away from kids until they actually manage to figure out a way to review them. There are some libraries in Florida, actually, school libraries, where they have not had any books in elementary school libraries since Christmas.
Well, and you said you've had even 2 more pulled off the shelves.
Yeah, just this
even
weekend.
this weekend.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about adult romance, see, that's not what I'm writing. Even your book, The Storyteller, it's a novel about the Holocaust.
That's correct. Yeah, that was the one that really shocked me in Martin County because it's a book about fascism and the rise of fascism and how ordinary people can play into that. And it felt very ironic to have a book about the Holocaust banned. It's a story for people whose stories can't be told. And that's the reason that we need books like this on the shelf.
So I want to show this moment from last week. This was at a Martin County school board meeting. This is a 100-year-old World War II widow. And she spoke out against these book bans. Okay, the moment went viral. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
One of the freedoms that the Nazis crushed was the freedom to read the books they banned.
Jackie is a steel slide.
The free press banned and burned books. The freedom to read, which is protected by the First Amendment, is our essential right and duty of our democracy.
It is just chilling to hear that. Jodi, what is your reaction when you hear that?
That I wish she didn't have to fight this battle, that we shouldn't have to relive history all over again, that it's okay for a parent to decide whether or not a book is appropriate for their own child, but it's not appropriate for that same parent to make the decision for your child.
Right, you call that a colossal problem.
It is a colossal problem.
Individual parenting and individual family decisions
Yes.
that need to be made here.
Exactly.
Especially at a time when we're setting record for book bans. So keep this in mind. There's a new report from the American Library Association, Attempted book bannings and restrictions at school and public libraries actually set a record in 2022 with more than 1,200 challenges. So to put that in perspective for you, it's nearly double the total from 2021.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think is driving this nationwide idea?
I think it is a small, very vocal group of people who are speaking out. The vast majority of folks in this country know that we should not be banning books, that we should not be restricting what kids are reading, especially at a high school level. I think that unfortunately, the minority is much louder than the majority. And so we all really need to take a stand. You can't listen to the politicians when they say, these aren't bans, it's a hoax. I'm an author. 20 of my books were pulled off a shelf in one particular school district. That is not a hoax. That is a ban. And it's really important that right now we all speak out against this, because we've seen historically what happens when we do not.
And as Gio said, your books are always grounded in topical information, but also from my experience in reading your books, they're grounded in research.
Yes.
And so it is a fantastic learning tool.
Yeah.
So,
Jodi, stop writing all those romance novels.
Trust me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And her latest book, by the way, Mad Honey, is available now. Best-selling author Jodi Picoult. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Donald, for sharing that. I had no idea.
It's a trophy. Caramel chocolate cold brew, velvety chocolate cold foam, cocoa caramel crumbles. Whatever you did to dessert.
Thanks, Donald. I had no idea that 20 books are banned. So what do you think about that, Vanessa? What do you think about not just Mad Honey that you absolutely love, but 20 of one author's books are banned in one county because one mom didn't think it was okay.
And she didn't even read them.
Right.
She didn't read them.
And what they said is that Jodi Picoult, the reason I love her is that her books really are grounded, and it deals with things that are happening in our society right now. And she does so much research, and she just brings it to life. And I think to ban her books, I don't understand. It's like, in network marketing, we say they don't know and they don't want to know. They want to be locked in their ignorance or be closed-minded. I don't understand. And the thing is that this is truth. This is what really has taken place. I thought it was just one of her books. I think the book that I thought was banned, it was 19 Minutes.
Mm.
And that dealt with gun violence in school. Being having where these kids can have access to these kind of weapons. And in 19 minutes, the damage that they can do. And to ban that, I don't understand. It's like, I forgot the guy's name. He's from Texas, but he said the attack in Charlottesville or wherever the school was didn't happen.
Mm.
How can you say it didn't happen? How can you say it's not real issues? And the news every day puts this, we have the news. What are they trying to do to these children in Florida? Just keep them ignorant and unaware? What is he on? Well, yeah, I know. It's like slavery never happened. We volunteered to come on over and work for you for the garbage that you were going to feed us. And, it's like the story of the Pilgrim, the first Thanksgiving. Is that how we're going to rewrite everything?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
I thought it was interesting, the 100-and-some-year-old woman who said what she said about that's what they do in fascist countries, and the people who are banning these books don't even see that they're doing what Hitler did, and they do what all the dictators do. They don't want you to get information, so they ban books. It's scary to me. To me, we're living in very scary times.
Jackie, we can't hear you.
I'm going to unmute. I'm really glad that we're having this conversation, but I wanted to make sure that you got a chance to talk about how listening to Mad Honey, you were already a Jodi Picoult fan.
Yes.
And just for the people that are listening tonight, Vanessa probably does 4 or 5 audiobooks a week. You know, she puts those headphones in. I'm thinking that she's talking to me. She's doing, but she is grinding out these books. And she's not a big lover of nonfiction and the news, but she loves a story. And she loves being read to, and she loves audiobooks. And one night she said to me, just listen for a few minutes, just 10 minutes. I just want you to listen. And it was such a powerful experience of being read to by the author, or even not by the author, but it just put me in a whole different other mindset. And so she said, I wish more people listen to books like I do. And maybe more importantly, I wish that I had more people that I could talk to about what I've just listened to. And I've listened to Mad Honey, and she said, this is the best. This is like the bestest ever. And today is March 31st, and it is a historical remembrance of International Transgender Visibility Day, that we would come together and we would do things to make visible people that are in our community that may be like us, not like us, different from us. And something about gender and sexuality that has always scared people. But the fact that we have people today that are not just more fluid about their gender, but they want to be visible and they have something to offer. And we have an opportunity to misunderstand them, hate them, love them. But banning a book and harming them, and what so many communities are experiencing now, where they're saying God doesn't love them, you know, they're the enemy of Christianity, just making up stuff. And who is being harmed, who is being hurt? So if you could just, I don't want you to be a spoiler. If those of you that are listening haven't read the book, I want to encourage you to read it. But it is a story about a mother and family and getting to know your children and coming to terms with who you are. So could you just tell us a little bit about why you like audiobooks and what was your favorite part of the book? And I'm going to ask you the same thing if you've had a chance to listen at all.
Oh, I think the whole, I love audiobooks because I can get lost in them. I can go to bed and listen to them, and it's like, it comes alive in my soul. I just love to hear a good voice reading just anything. So yeah, a lot of times I'm working and you know how you just do things and it's automatic. Well, when I'm listening to a book, I have the opportunity to go deep, just listen, just zone out of everything and just go into the book, and I can steadily do whatever I'm doing, but I can I just get lost in the book. I just love Jodi Picoult.
Is the book about honey? What's the book about?
The book is about, she's a beekeeper. Her father was a beekeeper, and so she took over. After he passed, she started taking care of the bees. And I think that's what really sort of drew me in too, because I remember going with my friend Norma, and we were harvesting the honey. So I understood some of it. And I was just intrigued. I mean, from the beginning to the end, the book was just extraordinary. Like Jackie said, this was one of her best books, but she didn't write it alone. This is only the second time that she's written. She had a co-author. The first one was with her daughter, and her daughter was like a young teenager. Maybe she may have been 9 or 10, something. Her and her mother wrote a book together. But this one is a trans woman, and she was so happy, she said, to be able to write this book with, I think her name is Jenny. What's the name? Jenny. She was so happy to write this book with Jenny because she had been asked to write a book for transgender people. And she said she didn't feel, even if she did all the research on transgender and everything, she didn't feel like it was her story to tell. So the fact that Jenny one night went to bed and said, "Oh, I had a dream that I co-authored a book with Jodi Picoult." He tweeted this, and it was about a trans woman, and he began to say whatever. He was tweeting this, and he said, within 24 hours, Jodi said, "Well, let me hear about this dream you had." And so they called each other and they started talking. And this is how this book came about. Just a magnificent book, the whole book. But anyway, my most favorite chapter in this book is when Olivia, what's the guy's name?
Asher.
Yeah, Asher's mother, Olivia, goes to have a conversation with Elizabeth. Elizabeth is the store owner. She owns the music store in the town. Elizabeth's former name was Edgar. So she was a trans woman. When they started having this conversation, I mean, it just totally blew my mind, because this is where Edgar said, "When you meet me, you met me." And he started breaking down gay is to straight, with trans is to cis. And he also said, being gay is who you go to bed with. Being trans is who you go to bed as. So I've learned so much from this book. I mean, just so much. Another great part for me is when the physician was on the stand and she was talking about Lily and her operation. And so many times we see, trans people, we don't get it. We don't understand it. And it's not our journey, and I've learned that the best way I can help a person is just listen to them. Listen to how they feel and validate. If someone tells me, I feel sick today and I hate this, I hate that, or whatever they're talking about, the best thing that I could do is say, I hear you. Not try to get you to say, not try to say, you shouldn't feel that way. No, I've learned at this age is to sit and hear. So I think I remember listening to a great basketball player, Dwayne Wade. His son was transitioning to a woman. He was young, and he said, I feel like I'm in the wrong body. And a lot of times we want to say, you can't get a tattoo till you're 18, till you're able to make, like an age gives you the magic thing that you're mature enough or you're capable. But I think it was the doctor who sat on the stand during the trial of Asher. And she said, what was it? She was saying, you just know when you know. It's like, she called it handedness. Did y'all see that part? Listen to that part of the book? When you know certain things, like, I know that I'm right-handed. Remember when we used to say left-handed was being wrong? But some people, how do you know? Well, how do I know I'm right-handed? Because when I pick up a pencil, it just feels right in my hand. It's easy to write. It just feels comfortable. If I try to do it with my left hand, I can't hold it right. I can't curve the numbers right, Now, some people, remember, they used to always try to make you be right-handed. When you left-handed, it was something wrong with you. But then we started accepting it, because some kids, they can pick up a pen and they can write with their left hand, and it feels awkward in their right hand. And then some people, they can pick up and they can write with both hands, right? So she explained that's how it feels when you're in the wrong body. And you just know. You just know. I think once I listened to the book the first time, I think someone asked me, isn't Jodi Picoult's, her son gay or something, trans? And I went, and yeah, he is gay. And she said, I knew he was gay at 3, but he didn't come out to his parents until he had to fill out his application for college. And in that application, he must have been writing about what it was, or I don't know what his entry letter was. But then he had his mother read it. She said, well, I knew you were gay when you were 3. And so this book made me more aware of when a person feel what they feel, I can't, whether they're 3, whether they're 10, whether they're 19, whether they're 42, who am I to say that no, it's not possible? So that's what I've, learned from the book. And since it's us, I know that I've been put in a lot of situations because I'm Black, female, born in Detroit, raised in the ghetto, check it off, that I missed this, and this, and I get to speak for the whole community. No. I was raised with 4 other girls in the household, and we all have totally different personalities. What we have in common is our last name is Wilson. We have a mother and father in common, but we are so totally different. Check the box. We female, we have that in common. We don't even need, none of us have the same skin color. We all come in various skin colors, different hair types. You can rally around something for the same cause, but it just made me realize, I used to say this all the time, every blade of grass is different. There's no two blades of grass. You can see grass span all across, I mean, billions and billions and billions blades of grass or leaves, all different. It just, I mean, this book made me realize some people are special. They come in this world with handicaps. They're still important. Some people come in this world, their IQ, they have low IQs. They're not a genius. They still matter. So this book just, Mad Honey, oh my God, it just made me feel so much passion. All right, Jackie, that's it.
Thank you. Donald, did you get a chance to listen a little bit or?
No, I didn't, but a couple of things. I did go through and read some of the reviews and some of the synopsis so that I would understand a little bit about what the book was about. But Vanessa, Jodi Picoult needs to hire you, because after listening to you talk about the book, now I want to read the book. I had no idea it involved, it just said gender identity, but to know that there are transgender characters, and we on this Transgender Day of Visibility are talking about this book. I think this is amazing. I think this is amazing. I have a particular care for the transgender community, because I think that of all the people, and even of all the LGBT people, the transgender people are kept on the bottom, and the ones who are least supported. And so to know that this book is about them, I want to read this book, or like you do, listen to this book. It's great. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Donald. You're a good friend and a good brother, and you're a good listener. I don't know if it's because you got that Howard University degree in social work, you could listen to anything, or just it's your nature. But I think that so many people in the world don't have anybody to talk to, or we talk to people and they say, hurry up, get to the point. Well, what's that got to do with me? Or just tweet, you're taking too long. Ah! And it's making us stupid, and it's making us mean, and it's making us not love one another or understand anybody, because we don't listen to them. We don't listen, like sometimes you just have to, you don't have to, but I'm going to invite you to think about a way of honoring that person, and honoring yourself is just to listen to somebody from another perspective. I think it was really painful to me to hear. I'm going to assume that mother loved her baby. I'm going to assume that. I'm going to give her that grace. And she really thought that she could make a decision not only about somebody else's child, but she didn't read the book. Oh my God. And so we're raising up a whole group of people, most people in society are yearning for learning to know new things. And we're so afraid of each other, and we really don't know who each others are, because we're segregated from each other. but we don't have time. We're so busy, we don't have time to listen. So I wanted to support Vanessa in two ways. I wanted to support her because I was wondering why she always had that stuff in her ear. That was her way of honoring people and honoring the ministry. The other thing that I haven't finished it. It's 15 hours. I'm gonna give it the full 15. But I loved the way that this author told a story. I learned more about bees and apiary and what bees do, and the queen bee does this, and we have this idea that in nature there's a certain way, and the Bible tells us da 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 da. All that's just made up lies. People just lying.
Yeah.
Just lying. Read the Bible for yourself. Read the book for yourself. And if you don't like to read, not everyone can read. Literacy in the United States and the world it's getting worse. People can't read. Their vision is bad. They don't have the comprehension. We'll tackle that in another book. But this idea that in this fictional story, a made-up story, where I can tell you I'm fascinated more with bees. I went out after listening. I said, you got to get this kind of honey. You got to buy this kind of honey. It's like I have my tea and I have honey in it, and I'm reading. Am I reading about mad honey? I'm thinking about the bees and the queens and the drone, and how gender and sexuality is fluid throughout nature. We just don't know about that. And this woman in fiction, all of it's made up. She says it's fiction. It makes me curious about the world, and it makes me curious about other people, and it makes me curious about my God, and it makes me curious about how can I be more radically in love with people that I don't know, don't understand. I'm mad at them, or I think they're stupid, or I think they should do what I want them to do. And I have had some experiences. This isn't the place for me to talk about it here, but I've had some experience, and Vanessa has heard me whine about it over the years. And she was so generous with her time and with her love in listening to me go on this rant. And she said, well, when I read Mad Honey, what I learned in Mad Honey is that when you've met one transgendered or one trans woman or whatever, you just met one. They're not holding up the whole universe just because you had this experience. It's just, honey, you're normally so kind. What's the hang up with this? And then of course I could go on for 20 minutes about the hang up. But when she said to me, it's like you, when they've met Jackie, they have only met Jackie. She is just as weird and bizarre as she possibly could be. And that we just have to learn how to love it. I want people to love you the way I love you. And I think that this is a spiritual quality that would change. It would just not just change the world, it would change how we are in the world. We wouldn't be afraid of somebody that's different. What do I care whether you want to wear a pink dress or you feel better at this or that? Why wouldn't I be someone that would support you and protect you? Why would I harm you or think that if I beat you, or I think if I tell you that God doesn't love you, that somehow you're going to just snap out of it? So I think that for me, listening to the story was an invitation to me to live my life differently and to explore things that I didn't understand, whether it's bees or beekeepers. Like, I know Vanessa's not going to let me have no bees in the backyard, but I'm really, really thinking about having some bees and opening my heart and my space through listening. That listening may be the key. If I could give her 15 hours, if Vanessa is saying, you don't have to read a book, but if you, but if you could use your time to listen to other people who are different or you don't understand, what does that say about the human condition? And so that's why I wanted to support her. And I said, well, I know you're not the only person in the whole world that likes audiobooks. And I know you're not the only person that likes Jodi Picoult and Mad Honey. And Donald, the fact that you went to the trouble to find out that, girl, they don't just ban one book, they took all of her books off the shelf. So you know what? I'm gonna buy all of her books and I'm gonna give them to people, and I'm going to continue to encourage people to listen. And I'm not just doing it because I love Vanessa, and I'm not just doing it because it's International Transgender
Visibility.
Yeah, I'm not just doing it for that, but I'm doing it because it is enhancing my life. I want people to listen to me, so I have to be willing to listen to them and not be so quick to, well, what do you want a gun for? Why you got to have that A550?
AR-57.
Yeah, why? It's like we're so quick to cut the conversation off. They talk about cancel culture and PC and I'm like, depending upon the side of the fence, yeah, shut up, tell them to get him out of here. But that does not make for a better world. That's not in the that short term. Maybe you're stressed out and you don't want to hear anything the person has to say. But where are the spaces where we can create, where we can listen to each other, ask questions, have a better understanding, like race. It's just a made up, somebody just made it up.
Yep.
A made up construct.
A made up social construct that they put into place to make it easier to enslave people. Well, let's say God said it was okay. I mean, it's just incredibly a made up thing. What if gender was that way? What if sexuality was that way? When my mother said to me, Jackie's not fussy, she's just like a loving sexual person. The gender thing, it's I mean, when my mother said that, when she first said that, I was offended. And then I thought, my mother really loves me. And my mother really knows me. Now, I'm not saying my mother was happy about it. I'm not saying that. But this book, to me, I learned about honey, and I learned about the love that a mother has for her child, and the love, how we put all of this energy into this little person that we want them to be just like us. And when they start acting like they're not looking like we thought they were going to be, or they're not resembling, first of all, we blame ourselves. Then we blame them, and then we decide we're gonna beat it out of them. We're just gonna we're gonna correct this problem right now. If you suck your thumb, we're gonna put hot pepper on it. If you draw with the left hand, we're gonna do this. Maybe that's not exactly the right approach, because you're harmed by that. You're not only are you destroying and harming somebody else, but you're, because people that normally you would see yourselves as having something in common with them, you just see them as the enemy. And we're attacking children. They're so vulnerable, they're so dependent on us, and we're attacking them. Like who is it hurting? Really, who is being harmed? So I want to thank both of you. I want to encourage you all to buy the book, listen to an audiobook. I'm learning how to narrate books because I realized that not only can I make some money doing that, but I like this notion of being able to read stories to people. Like I want to me, that's a ministry, that's a church, to create spaces where, I was doing some interviewing with somebody and I said, well, have you ever been to somebody's house of another race or another religion? And people looked at me like I had 3 heads. You know? So is it any wonder that whether, you know, we don't want to welcome the stranger or welcome the new person, or, you know, have you tried that food? No, I don't like that. We don't eat that. Ugh. We don't do that. Not in this house. We don't do that. Well, you could try it. You know, well, you know the way those people are. Well, how are those people? They're that way. What way are you talking about? So I think that literacy and developing the skill and the tolerance to listen to somebody, you know, not a tweet is short, but to have, you know, if we gave a lot of people 15 hours, it might change our lives. Not might, it for sure would, it for sure. And I'm not saying that we would be madly in love with them, but we would have a better understanding. I think we would be less likely to, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but there's a part in the book about, I was telling Vanessa about this. I said, oh, that was so nasty. They were talking about that honey was used as a preservative, that you put honey on something, you could put it on a wound, or you could put it someplace and the bacteria won't grow. There's something in that little spit from the bees that just is protected. And so I discovered this honey that was like, you know, from the, I don't know, I'm making this part up. I need to put my hearing aid in when I'm listening, but they had this honey and it was like, they knew it was safe to eat. And so they took like a taste of it, and the guy,
it was in a pyramid or something.
Yeah, it was in a pyramid. And so the guy is like, oh my God, this is like, 5,000 years old and the honey is so good. It probably has wonderful properties. And he looks down and he sees a toddler that's preserved in the honey. And all of a sudden he's like,
he got honey with hair on it. Some honey with hair on it. And it was a toddler preserved in the honey.
And of course I had to press pause on and just like I love to read, there's sometimes I have to close the book. Sometimes I read from the back of the book. Sometimes I miss something, I go back. Well, listening is the same thing. Sometimes you overreact. Somebody said, oh, I did it. And then you react and you go, wait, calm down. Let them get to the end of the sentence. You think, like my kids always say, well, we know where you're going with this. No, you don't know where I'm going with this. If you don't have time to listen to me, I don't want to talk to you. But when you have time, I can listen. Do you want advice? No, I don't want advice. I just want you to listen. And then usually if I give them 15, 20 minutes of listening, or sometimes one of my kids needs like an hour. And I'm trying. I want to say something. And she'll say, Ma, how come you didn't say anything? Well, you told me to be quiet. You want me to listen. Well, haven't you listened sufficiently? I feel heard. I feel like you've listened to me. Now you can talk. And I think that's beautiful. I think people are more willing to talk to you and be vulnerable and share if you have given them the honor, the respect, the grace to listen to them. It could be the stupidest, craziest, you don't understand it, but you just gave them the time to listen. So that's the other thing that I think is really beautiful about audiobooks and being listened to, being read to. And I'm gonna close with this. Vanessa, do you have memories of people reading to you?
No, not at all.
Okay. So you discovered people reading to you late in life?
Yes.
And you don't have any problem with literacy. I know you can read, but discovering the beauty of being read to is something that we can treasure at any age for any reason. What about you, Donald? Do you have any fond memories of? I know one of Donald's secrets. Donald loves theater, film. He likes the visual media. So I know you love being talked to, read to. I know you love that.
It sounds, I'm gonna try it just because Vanessa's been trying to get me to do it since you all were in Maryland. So I'm gonna try it. I have not, but I may fall in love with it.
Yeah. The only other thing that I wanted to mention is that.
What about you? Do you have any fond memories of being read to?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Every night of my life, my mother or my father would read a story. That is probably one of the earliest childhood memories. And they would laugh at me, but my brother and I would make up stories. We would take the book. We couldn't read a word of it. And they would say, just look at the pictures. What do you think it says? Make up a story. We were very much encouraged to make up stories. We would put on plays and they would laugh. They would just think it was hysterical. And of course, the more they listened to this crazy stuff, the more we would make up more crazy stuff. We just make it up. You know, my mother was dead and gone, and I had found little storybooks that I had written for her. She never threw anything away. We won't talk about hoarding, but she saved those books and those cards, and I think respect for little ones, but respect for each other. My mother taught adults to read, and I have that memory in my life of her teaching people in their 50s and 60s to read. And she would say, everybody can read. They just haven't found what's worth reading or what's worth listening to. Everything they've heard up until that point is ridiculous. And they would laugh. And then she would allow them time to read. It was very, very moving for me to see people, particularly older Black men, that, you know, they just lied. They just tell nobody they couldn't read. You know, but because she offered them an opportunity for literacy and for them to read. You know, people say, oh, well, you can read the Bible, or I'm gonna tell you what you can read. What if you wanted to read, or what if you wanted somebody to read you something and you were punished for that? Or, you know, this notion that somehow someone controls not just your body, but the attempt to control your mind, you know, kind of like Jodi Picoult said, you know, you can say, I'm not happy with it. You can say you don't want your little girl to read my book, but you actually went to the trouble to take 20 of my books off the shelf, and no other child could do that. I can't. And Vanessa doesn't believe in buying books, not because she's cheap, but she said if she could figure out a way to get a book for free or audiobook, I'm not going to tell the libraries how many libraries she belongs to. She got the hook up on audiobooks. She can find any audiobook for free anywhere. To her, it's like a challenge. It's a challenge. But if an author is dead and gone, and they've been gone for 100 years, and it's considered a classic, they have all these digital libraries where we can help people to listen to books that the author is gone. They're not going to make money. Jodi's still alive, and if they're banning her books, I think I want to encourage you all to buy her book. But you can go to a library. Vanessa will give you the hookup in several jurisdictions that still have libraries where you can rent for a week, or how long does it usually?
21 days.
Oh, 21 days. That's like an hour a day. You could give an hour a day. You could give an hour today.
And that's what I do. You know, I might listen to a chapter a day in one book, another book, listen to another, you know, whatever.
I find kind of like with the audiobooks, I have to turn it off because I've heard something that is don't want to say disturbing, but I need time to process it. It's not just like if you watch a movie, some people will watch a movie from beginning to end. And Vanessa wants to watch the movie. She wants to like stop the movie. What they say? You can't vacuum and watch this movie now. Shut up, sit down. You know, she'll make noise, but she'll want to be able to rewind it. Some people want to get the whole thing. But I think what's interesting about, you know, Donald, I think you turned me onto this, where you could go on to like a website or a TV program, and you could stream like all 8 issues of Bridgerton, or you know, all the Equalizers, or I mean, I really like that. You mean I don't have to wait next week and see what happened? Just pause it, let me run to the bathroom, get some popcorn, and then just watch like, you know, 3 hours worth. I think that's the closest thing maybe people have to like an audio experience. And some people are audio learners. They learn best, like these kids that do hip hop. Maybe they don't know their multiplication table, but they can memorize a song in a minute, and they can, and that's how they learn. And I also like what you said, Vanessa, that even though your siblings, you're all different. Same mom and dad, as far as you know. You'll never know the same as you know. And that we're all different, and hopefully love equally. Donald, do you have any parting words before we stop? Or
I am thankful for 2 brown girls read and talk stuff.
Conversate, yeah.
This was a great salon.
Yes, yes. Friday night salon.
Friday night. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's way past our bedtime. Vanessa's been up since 2:30. I've been up almost since then. But I would encourage you, if you listen to this later, please listen to Mad Honey. Go get some honey. Go do this. Treat yourself. Treat yourself. Okay, love you. Peace out.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night.
Bye. Queerly, fabulously made.